Reflected access attack, also known as non-persistent attack, occurs when a malicious script is reflected off a web application to the victim's browser. The script is activated through a link. So let me just define this. The scripted is activated through a link which sends a request to the website with a vulnerability that enables execution of a malicious script. The vulnerability is typically a result of an incoming request not being sufficiently sanitized, which allows the manipulation of a web application function and the activation of a malicious script. To distribute the malicious link, a perpetrator typically embedded a email or a third-party website like a social section or a social media. The link is embedded inside an anchor text and that provokes the user to click on it, which initiates the XSS request to exploit the website, reflecting the attack back to the user. Unlike in a store attack, where the perpetrator must locate a website that allows to permanent injection of a malicious script, which reflected the attack only, then required that the malicious script is embedded into a link. That being said, in order for an attack to be successful, the user need to be click on the infected link that the attacker has sent, but attacker has sent in some way. So as such, there are a number of key differences between reflected and the XSS attack, including reflected attacks are more common, and reflected attacks do not have a same reach as stored XSS attack, and reflected attack can be avoided by vigilant users. With a reflected XSS, the perpetrator plays a number game, which means by he sends the malicious link to as many as user possible, thereby improving his odds of successfully executing the whole process and getting the attack. So, persistent XSS, also known as store XSS. These types of vulnerability occurs when a untrusted or unverified user input is stored on a target server. Common target for persistent XSS included message form, comment field or visitor logs, or any feature when the other user, either authenticated or non-authenticated, will view the attacker's malicious content. Publicly visible profile page like those common social media sites and membership groups are one good example for this desirable target for persistent XSS. The attacker may enter the malicious script in the profile boxes, and when other users visit the profile, their browser will execute the code automatically and they will get attacked. And another side of reflective access, reflective or non-persistent cross-site scripting involves the immediate return of the user input. To exploit a reflective access, an attacker must trick the user into sending data to the target site, which is often done by tricking the user into clicking the malicious crafted link. In many cases, reflective access attacks rely on phishing emails or shortened or otherwise obscure URLs sent to the target user. So, when the victim visits the link, the script automatically executed from their browser. Search result and error message passages and also two common targets of the reflected accesses. They often send unmodified user input as a part of the response without ensuring that the data is properly escaped so that it displayed safely in the browser. So impact of reflected XSS. If an attacker can control a script that is executed in the victim's browser, then they can typically fully compromise that user. Among other things, the attacker can, as an example, what can the attacker do? So the attacker can perform any action within the application that the user can perform. View any information that the user is able to view. Modify any information the user is able to modify. Initiate interaction with other application user, including malicious attack that will appear to originate from the initial victim user. There are various means by which an attacker might induce a victim user to make a request that they can control and to deliver a reflected XSS attack. These including placing links on a website controlled by the attacker or another website that allows content to be generated, or by sending a link to an email, tweet, or any other types of messages. The attack could be targeted directly against a known user or could be an indiscriminate attack against any user of the application. So the need for the external delivery mechanism for an attack means that the impact of the reflected XSS is generally less severe than the stored XSS, where a self-contained attack can be delivered within the vulnerable application itself. So the prevention and mitigation. So there are several effective methods for preventing the mitigated reflected XSS attack. So first and foremost, from the user's point of view, vigilance is the best way to avoid XSS scripting. Specifically, the means is not clicking on suspicious links which may contain malicious code. Suspicious links include those found in like email from unknown senders, website comment section, social media feed of an unknown user, or having said that, it is ultimately up to the website operator to prevent potential abuse to their user. Additionally, web application firewalls, in short WAFs, also plays an important role in mitigating the reflected XSS attack, with signature-based security rules supported by other users. A WAF can compensate for the lack of the input sanitization and simply block the abnormal requests. This includes but is not limited to the request that attempt to execute a reflected cross-site scripting attack. It should be noted that unlike in a stored attack where the perpetrator's malicious requests to a website are blocked, in a reflected XSS attack it is the user's requests that are blocked. This is done by protect by the user as well as prevent collateral damage to all other website users. The web application firewall also use signature filtering to the counter reflected XSS. Additionally, the WAF employ crowdsourcing technology which automatically collects and aggregates attack data from the across all the cloud network for the benefit of the all user. So the crowdsourcing component of a cloud security service ensures a quick response to zero-day threat and protects the entire user community against a new threat. It also enables the user of a advanced security and including those that monitor IP reputation and also keep the track of repeated offenders and botnet devices.